In Formula 1, prodigies are few and far between, but when one arrives, everyone notices, and when Mercedes notices, you know it's something serious. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, the teenage sensation from Italy, has been building his case for the spotlight since he first touched a racing wheel, and now he's proudly representing the Silver Arrows at the highest level of motorsport. His journey began like so many others, in the fiercely competitive world of karting, but unlike most, Antonelli didn't just win, he dominated. It was here, in the mini-kart categories, that Mercedes first laid eyes on the young Italian. His smooth yet aggressive driving style, combined with a maturity far beyond his years, caught the attention of Toto Wolff and the Mercedes Junior program. By 2019, the then 13-year-old had officially been signed as a Mercedes Junior driver, and he didn't disappoint. That same year, he made his mark on the CIK FIA level, finishing second in the European Championship and a strong fifth in the World Championship. Even a devastating setback in 2020, when a crash at the start of the World Championship race left him with a broken leg, didn't deter his progress. If anything, it seemed to fuel him. In 2021, Antonelli bounced back with fire. He returned to karting to defend his OK European title, cementing his status as one of the top young talents globally. But that wasn't all. That same year, he stepped into the world of single-seaters, making his debut in the Italian F4 Championship, and it became clear, this kid wasn't just a karting prodigy, he was the real deal. His first full season in cars came in 2022. Racing in the Italian and German F4 series, Antonelli didn't just compete, he annihilated the competition. In Germany, he stormed to the title with clinical precision. In Italy, he went one better, winning an incredible 13 out of 22 races. That dominance didn't go unnoticed, and before the year was out, he added another trophy to his cabinet, the FIA Motorsport Games F4 Cup at Paul Ricard. And just to underline how tough he is, he won it despite breaking his wrist during practice. 2023 saw Antonelli take his next step, Formula Regional. First stop, the Middle East. Once again, he proved his mettle by taking the championship title with 3 race victories. But that was just the appetizer. The main course came in the ultra-competitive Formula Regional European Championship, where he battled and overcame top-tier talents like Martini Stenshorn and Tim Tramnitz to claim yet another title. With each step, the Mercedes Junior was ticking all the boxes, and questions started to swirl. Was Antonelli already too good for F3? Mercedes certainly thought so. In a bold and controversial move, the German powerhouse chose to fast-track their golden boy straight into Formula 2 for the 2024 season, bypassing Formula 3 entirely. A gamble? Possibly, but one that could pay off spectacularly. He joined Prema Racing alongside another rising star, Ferrari Jr. Oliver Bearman, forming what many have dubbed the most exciting driver lineup outside of F1 itself. And while some expected Antonelli to struggle with the sudden leap in car performance and competition, he proved the doubters wrong. With consistent points finishes, flashes of raw pace, and ever-improving qualifying performances, it became increasingly clear he wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. Then came the bombshell. Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion and face of Mercedes for over a decade, announced he would be leaving the team at the end of the 2024 season. The paddock went into overdrive, speculation exploded. Who would replace the legend? Names like Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, and even Sebastian Vettel were thrown into the mix. But quietly, steadily, one name began to rise above the rest: Antonelli. Though still just 17, the whispers became louder after the Melbourne F2 round. Antonelli was handed his first taste of F1 machinery at the Red Bull Ring, driving the dominant W12, the very car that brought Mercedes the 2021 Constructors' Championship. From there, he began a rapid-fire testing schedule in the more modern W13 chassis, completing laps at historic tracks like Imola, Silverstone, and the Circuit de Catalunya. The intent was clear. Mercedes wasn't just testing a car, they were testing their future. The anticipation hit fever pitch when Antonelli was confirmed to take part in an official F1 free practice session, stepping into George Russell's car at the Temple of Speed, Monza. And in classic Antonelli fashion, he made an immediate impact. On just his first few laps, he stunned the paddock by setting the fastest time. But then, disaster. Only his 6th lap, the Italian lost control and crashed heavily. The car was damaged, the session was over, and critics pounced. Was Mercedes rushing him too fast? Was he ready? But here's the thing. Antonelli walked away unscathed, physically and mentally, and by that point, the decision had already been made behind closed doors. Less than a day after his W15 had been crashed off the Monza track, Mercedes made it official. Andrea Kimi Antonelli would be driving alongside George Russell for the 2025 season. No more speculation, no more whispers. The torch was being passed. So what convinced Toto Wolff and the Mercedes hierarchy to take such a leap of faith? The answer lies in Antonelli's track record, a career built not just on winning, but on dominating. Every time he's been challenged, he's risen. Every time he's been doubted, he's responded. And there's a certain aura about him, one that evokes memories of a young Verstappen or even Hamilton himself. Calm under pressure, relentless on track, utterly unfazed by the spotlight. The season opener in Australia saw Antonelli finish 4th in tricky, wet conditions. He followed it up with back-to-back 6th place finishes in China and Japan. But it wasn't just the consistency that shocked the paddock, it was how he did it. In Japan, he became the youngest driver ever to lead a Formula 1 race and the youngest to clock a fastest lap, snatching both records away from none other than Max Verstappen. And suddenly, Mercedes' bold gamble to replace Lewis Hamilton with a teenager who hadn't even finished school yet looks less like a risk and more like a generational masterstroke. Yes, Antonelli is rewriting expectations while still studying for his Italian Maturità, the country's equivalent of the UK's A-levels or the SATs in the US. At a time when most drivers were either fully immersed in motorsport or had long left education behind, Antonelli is juggling race strategy meetings with online classes, debriefs with engineers, alongside assignments and exam prep. And all of this under the relentless pressure of stepping into Lewis Hamilton's shoes at the most successful team of the hybrid era. Antonelli's commitment to finishing school while thriving in F1 is almost unthinkable in today's win-at-all-cost sporting landscape. Drivers like Verstappen and Leclerc famously abandoned formal education early to prioritize their racing dreams, but Antonelli, determined, grounded, and clearly guided by a strong family foundation, is taking a different route. He recently admitted on the Fast and the Curious podcast that his motivation partly comes from his mother. When Hamilton made his F1 debut in 2007, it was immediately clear that McLaren had a star on their hands. The same buzz now surrounds Antonelli. The most remarkable part of his first 3 races hasn't been the results, although those have been stellar, but rather how composed, calm, and calculated he has looked under pressure. In Australia, he was eliminated in Q1, which could have been a confidence-shaking blow for a rookie, but instead, he calmly worked his way up to P4 in a chaotic race, managing tyre strategy better than some veterans. And then came Japan, a real litmus test. Suzuka is not kind to rookies. It's high speed, narrow, and brutal for those unfamiliar with its unique flow. Antonelli admitted that in free practice, he felt lost in the car, but he rebounded in extraordinary fashion, finding pace, confidence, and even managing to lead a lap, an achievement even Verstappen couldn't manage in his early Red Bull days. To top it off, he clocked the fastest lap in the second half of the race. The numbers, of course, still reflect the learning curve. George Russell has out-qualified Antonelli by an average of 0.390 seconds over the first 3 races, but nobody expected Antonelli to be on equal footing with a driver arguably in the form of his life. What matters is that Antonelli is contributing points and consistency, something Mercedes hasn't had from a second driver since the Bottas era. One thing that Mercedes got absolutely right was the meticulous preparation behind Antonelli's debut. While the world debated whether it was too soon to promote an 18-year-old, the team was already 10 steps ahead. Over 10,000 kilometers of private testing and countless hours with his future engineers gave Antonelli a unique head start. When he arrived in the paddock in Australia, he wasn't a deer in headlights. He was a driver who understood the car, the team, and the expectations. And those expectations weren't light. Replacing a 7-time world champion doesn't come with much forgiveness, but Toto Wolff and the Mercedes board never blinked. Even when Hamilton shocked the paddock with his switch to Ferrari, Mercedes stuck to their long-term plan. Antonelli was always going to be their next pillar. Let's take a step back for a moment. Mercedes, after years of struggle with the current generation of cars, appears to be finding its footing again. Both drivers have consistently finished in the points, the team has avoided strategic meltdowns, and there's an unmistakable sense that the culture is shifting, from a post-Hamilton rebuilding era to a new, energized chapter. Antonelli is a huge part of that. He isn't just a driver for Mercedes, he represents a future. A bridge between the dominance of 2014 to 2020 and whatever the next great run could be. His presence in the garage is rejuvenating, his communication with engineers is beyond his years, and his approach has reminded many within the team of a young Michael Schumacher. Professional, relentless, and quietly charismatic. The hype is real, but so is the challenge ahead. Every young driver hits a wall at some point. For Antonelli, the calendar isn't going to get any easier. Between back-to-back races, media duties, simulator sessions, and now, final exams, the pressure will only ramp up. But Mercedes believes that if anyone can handle it, it's him. He's already shown the ability to bounce back from setbacks, to absorb information quickly, and most importantly, to adapt. That adaptability may prove to be the difference between a solid F1 career and a legendary one. Mercedes knows all too well how quickly the sport can change. From regulations to rivals, nothing stands still. But Antonelli's consistency has brought a much needed calm to the team, and if his current trajectory continues, we could be witnessing the birth of a new dynasty. The next few races will be critical. The European leg of the calendar will push him physically and mentally. Not only will he be racing at some of the most technical circuits in the world, but he'll be doing so while flying back and forth to sit final exams, all in a compressed window. And let's not forget the media spotlight that will only grow with each good result. And yet, even with all that pressure, Antonelli doesn't seem fazed. His public appearances are measured, his on-track demeanor is razor sharp, there's no social media drama, no team radio outbursts, no signs of a teenager out of his depth. In fact, the only thing giving away his age is the schoolbugs he still has to carry with him. Russell put it best when he said, "He's learning fast. We push each other hard, and that's what makes a great team." We often talk about potential in F1, the next big thing, the heir to the throne. But what if Antonelli isn't just a potential star? What if, after just 3 races, he's already the real deal? Of course, time will tell. But in a sport where young talents are often chewed up by the pressure, Antonelli is doing something remarkable. He's not just surviving, he's thriving. And if he can conquer his final exams the same way he's conquering the racetrack, then Mercedes might have just found their next world champion. So, what do you think? Is Andrea Kimi Antonelli the next Hamilton, the next Schumacher, or something else entirely? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're just as fascinated by this meteoric rise as we are, make sure to click on the next video on your screen. The F1 world might just be witnessing its next great chapter. Don't miss it.